Welcome back to Studio 5. You know, marriage betrayal comes in many forms, and often we view infidelity as the line, right? Meaning when someone is unfaithful, the marriage simply can't survive. Well, my next guest has helped many couples come back from infidelity over the last 30 years. Her message is one of healing and one of hope. Dr. Liz Hale joining me in studio. Can't think of a better way than to start our day with you. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure, always.
I do love your hopefulness around this topic.
Gosh,
and
yes.
I think a lot of couples and families affected by this will lean in.
Yeah.
And infidelity, understandably, is going to mean something different to one couple than it might to another. But overarching, Liz, is this more common than we realize?
Oh, I think it is. And there are different levels of infidelities,
Sure.
right? Or
Yeah.
betrayal, of not supporting a spouse, you know, in front of your family, or keeping financial secrets, right? Spending too much or saving more than the partner realizes. But sexual infidelity really is the crux of just brutal betrayal, right? It's the hardest thing to recover from, but couples who do, they get to the other side, it has been a wake-up call, and they are better and stronger than ever before.
What fuels an affair? Again, case by case, but
Yes,
are there
sure.
things that we can point to?
I love a colleague of mine, Lee Bauckham. He has the acronym FALSE, just
Okay.
for people to keep in their minds, right? Because we're all very vulnerable. So the F is for fantasy. You know, our imagination makes up who this third party is. They're not real, it's a fantasy. And adrenaline, boy, talk about infatuation, fear of getting caught. Lostness. Some people are just lost in their lives. Maybe career or family life just isn't what they were hoping it would be. And secrecy, secrets are powerful. Those are powerful bonding agents between partners until the secret is ruptured. And ego, there's this ego of being sought out and desired, especially if there's a disconnect in marriage.
What is the likelihood that a marriage will or can come back from an affair?
You know, it's highly likely, especially if a couple gets professional intervention, and if both parties really are willing to do whatever it takes to get there. It takes courageous couples who are willing to do the hard work and will just see it through to the end. And it's not a straight shot, right? Highs and lows, ebbs and flows.
Are you able to pinpoint, maybe if I were to push you to this corner, what's one thing that separates a couple who is able to bounce back from a couple who breaks apart?
I think it is their determination. Sometimes, occasionally, you'll see a couple who's had what maybe one partner has called an exit affair. They were really just hoping to get out of the marriage. And then there isn't too much hope for that, right? It was a way out, if you will. But for those couples who say, you know what, maybe there's a part of this belongs to me, not that I caused my partner to have an affair, I'm very clear about that, but are there things at the same time that I could do differently in my own marriage to make things stronger and better? And there almost is always something we can do differently, all of us.
In order to recover, you believe couples must come to terms with the truth. And you put this to an acronym today for us. The T stands for transparency.
Yeah, I do love that also. And even just before I say about transparency, unhappy couples don't cause infidelity. Being unfaithful causes infidelity. I think that's part of the big truth of it, right? But being transparent as far as what are the details of this, and this is just goes without saying, Brooke, dear, that the truth comes in a little bit at a time, bits and pieces, and that's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's so much better if a strayed partner can just say the full truth up front. You know, they typically don't have the courage to do so, and those little truths that come in just make the betrayed partner feel just all the worse. Right? It's harder to recover.
I can see where those little cuts would be painful and it would drag it out. At the same time, that's hard. I mean, hard. There's not even a word to hear all of the details at once.
It is, and that's what the strayed partner feels, is that, oh, she'll never or he'll never recover from this, so I better just give the softer version. But there's always more that comes out, almost always.
So be transparent.
Yep.
The R is for remorseful.
Yes, you know, remorse helps so much, just for someone to feel like, oh, you understand what it's like in my shoes. Very dear friends of mine, we've been friends for 35 years, and they recently went through a divorce following her discovery of his unfaithfulness. And he would often just say to her a blanket statement like, I'm really sorry for what I've done. And what she really needed to hear is, you know, I'm really sorry that I ever landed in XYZ massage parlors or wherever it might have been. I'm sorry I betrayed you. I crushed your soul. You've got to wonder who in the world that I am. You know, I will do whatever it takes to make this up to you.
So remorse, as you
that would have
spelled
made
that
all
out,
the difference.
less
right?
about the action. Well, I mean, the action is obviously part of it, but more about the person and the
who I've crushed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have crushed you. And imagine what this must be like in your shoes.
That dovetails into the U of truth, which is understanding.
Yes, just being able to understand the role that we all play. And I love, it's even though this is one of the roughest times a marriage could go through, many clients will often say, things are so much better now that we're on the other side of it. It was a wake-up call. There were things that I've learned to do much differently. And the other thing that I really worry about, the couples I worry about most are those in pre-marriage counseling. When I bring up, okay, so what are we going to do to affair-proof your marriage, right? How are we going to stay safe? And they will automatically say, oh, that would never happen to us. He would never, I would never, she would never. And yet we are all vulnerable. I think that's the take-home message, is everyone is vulnerable. We all have bad days. The stars line up. We make one poor decision based on another, based on another. Any of us are capable. So I think we have to really stand guard and protect our marriage at all costs.
The T is for teachable, and obviously you're in this vulnerable position. Both parties are, but maybe one more than the other. And you encourage both members of this couple to be open to new ideas and new ways.
That's right. That's right. If a straight partner says, it just happened. I don't know how it happened. It just happened. Clearly, they have not really dug deep enough with a professional to really understand, how did I get here? It doesn't just happen. Much like the recovery doesn't just happen either. It takes a lot of soul searching. It takes a lot of work and a lot of understanding, a lot of digging in and really seeing what you're made of, quite frankly.
I think of the humility that must be prevalent and prioritized, right? As you're trying to
that's so true.
Embark on this kind of recovery.
That's right. I think even some couples, I don't know why there's this classic example we as therapists often give, but it happens. And let's say a couple's at a restaurant and they're in this recovery stage and things are going pretty well. And then up walks this darling waitress named Charlene. That's the very name, right?
Charlene.
Charlene, that's the very name of the person that the husband had an affair with, very, very name. Or Charles, right? The very name that the wife had an affair with. And it's just like, can you believe that? Mm-hmm. And so being able to turn to each other as partners and just say, do you want to leave? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this unfortunate name right here. Should we see if we can go to another part of the restaurant, get another server? Do you want to leave? Just having that humility that I've caused this, I understand, and I see you, I see that it's upsetting. Mm-hmm. That could make all the difference in the world. And again, it goes back to truthfulness, of being humble enough, honest enough just to say, this is exactly what I did. Having the courage to say that. It really, those couples that do best, Brooke, are those that have complete transparency and truthfulness.
Some people might be listening, Liz, and again, depending on your familiarity or your experience with this topic, reactions will vary, but some might be thinking, gosh, that level of hopefulness is a little naive. Like, this is the ultimate betrayal, it's the ultimate mistrust, and here we're talking about recovery and healing. What would you say to that person?
I'd say that it probably isn't for everyone, but boy, for those couples that have come through on the other side of it, sometimes they say it was a great blessing. I mean, isn't that a big stretch? That's hard to even believe. But it was a wake-up call. It really had very little to do with the third party. There was nothing magical about the third party. It was really about the self. It was about the connection and the disconnection and how we can strive to make it better.
And that professional help probably key to
I think it's necessary.
process.
I don't know. I don't think any of us can do this on our own.
All right. Liz, thank you for your message today. We appreciate it.